Could this Game of Thrones Xbox be one of only two ever made? Hey everyone, I'm John with Roadkill Incorporated. In this video, I'll do an overview of my collection of special edition Xbox 360s. So last year I made a video about reorganizing my game console shelf. These are consoles I talked electronics recyclers into selling me because they usually just shred them. For a while, I was buying and selling thousands of consoles, mostly to specialized refurbishers. But I decided to keep the interesting ones, and that's what's on the shelf. In the video, I showed my special edition Xboxes, and at the time it didn't get much attention, but a few weeks ago someone made this comment about my Game of Thrones console, suggesting it's super rare and maybe worth thousands of dollars. So of course I searched for it on eBay. There's only one listed, and wow, it's listed for $1,500. I know some limited editions are worth a few hundred, but this is on another level. The listing states it's part of a promo giveaway, and it mentions Colorware, which seems to be a company that makes skins, so maybe they did the design. An Xbox Facebook post from 2012 confirms it was part of a giveaway. It mentions HBO Connect, which apparently was an HBO streaming service, and also San Diego Comic-Con, so this clearly was legit and involved big companies, but maybe it's not an official Microsoft limited edition. It's hard to tell, and there's no mention of how many were made. There's not a lot of info out there. There are a few different Game of Thrones Xboxes, it turns out. This other version is the most common one, and supposedly 1 to 50 were made. It ranks legendary on this site's rarity score, and this one here, the blue version, which is also legendary and one of a kind according to the site. And finally, here's mine, which is apparently called the gray version, legendary as well, and 2 made? What? That can't be right. Mine and the eBay guy couldn't possibly be the only 2. On this very page it says 3 people own it, so the page contradicts itself. So let's have a better look at it and see if it actually works. It's the S, or slim version of the Xbox 360. It's got some official text from HBO. It's funny though because it references the show but tells us nothing about the Xbox. You can see this label here put on by the recycler, basically telling us they were treating it as scrap. It's hard to say where it came from, but it was most certainly donated for recycling. Recyclers almost always scrap consoles, and they only let me buy these because I was also buying thousands of MacBooks, and I asked them for a favor. Well, it powers on. I'm not showing much of the screen because these Xboxes aren't wiped, and I don't want to dox the previous owners. But I don't see any evidence of the Game of Thrones game. I'm not a gamer or a console expert by any stretch, but as an outsider, I'm struck by how elegant the software and hardware is. These are super old consoles, yet they're just so pleasant and modern feeling. I tell ya, it puts my brand new Samsung TV to shame. While we're at it, let's take a tour of my other limited edition 360s. Here's the Star Wars R2-D2. Notable for its really cool sounds. Now for Gears of War. I seem to have 2 of them, which is good because one has an optical drive issue and a red ring of death. Halo Reach seems to work. Call of Duty seems to work as well. And Halo 4 works just fine. I have 2 Halo 3s, which are original Xboxes, not the Slim, but unfortunately they both have the red ring of death. I assume someone could repair them or swap out the guts from a working one. I think these 3 are just skins unless I'm wrong. A nice blue front on this one, carbon fiber on this one, and this one with skulls goes so far as to have the skin on the hard drive as well. At first I thought it must be a limited edition, but it doesn't seem to have any markings. And finally, we have a clear case with a weird fan on the side that appears to be burnt out. It powers on green, but it doesn't output video, unfortunately. The red lights inside are great. I don't know if those are standard or some kind of mod. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the custom controllers for these Xboxes, which is a shame because that really seems to affect value. By the way, here's why I don't have the controllers. This is how recyclers deal with them. They get separated out, and very likely they all got shredded. Power cables are in the same boat. It takes too much effort for recyclers to sort it all out, so they don't bother. Now let's see what it's all worth, and to do that, of course, I'll check eBay completed items. R2-D2 seems to go for 200 to 300, but most of those have accessories. Gears of War goes for about the same, maybe slightly more actually. Halo Reach 200 to 300 again. I'm seeing a trend here. All my limited editions seem to be in the 200 to 300 range, and predictably that mostly depends on completeness and quality. But here's something I didn't expect. The transparent cases are worth real money. $400, and that's pretty typical. Mine's a little weird. It's dirty and it has a fan and it doesn't have a clear front panel, so it's hard to say, but definitely worth something. And finally, Game of Thrones. What is it worth? It's super hard to say, really. I've found with retro, when there's no record of sales, you can basically set your price. The one on eBay is listed for $1,500, and with enough time, I'm sure he'll get that. And it sounds crazy, but he could list for 3 times more and probably get that too eventually. When there's no record of sales, you set the price. The catch is that it takes time to find the right buyer. Okay, so let's total this up. I like to do conservative estimates just to be safe. Let's say Game of Thrones is worth 1,000, then 200 for the clear case, and 100 each for the 8 others, considering relatively poor condition and no accessories. I'm leaving out the ones with skins, assuming they aren't worth a lot. So that makes $2,000 total, which is not terrible considering I probably paid 8 to 10 each. So that's about it. It's funny. People always ask me whenever I collect anything, what are you going to do with it? As if, it's critical that something has to be done immediately with everything. And I might list some of these for high prices to see if I get any bites, but to be honest, I'll probably just keep them on the shelf. Thanks for watching.